you know, taken, you'd be able to imagine how that would be like terrible, and you would feel terrible. You wouldn't even have to know what the emotion was, but you would relate to that because you could imagine that happening in real life. So how are you going to keep your audience, you know, interested? This is also about how to keep them entertained and how the flow of the story goes from chapter to chapter, and how you're going to keep your audience entertained in a fictional world. Well, that's what mine is, fictional. So it's important to think about how to adapt that so that it stays important to people. Okay, and a lot of things become boring rather quickly if you're not careful. Like too much description without dialogue, or even surprising text. If you write like a surprise event inside of the text, it's not necessarily going to surprise anybody if you haven't built anything around it from before or after to cause that to be surprising. All right, so the next thing is question overall philosophy of the chapter. So this is, again, what is the moral of the story? So this is just for the chapter. How do you go from point A to point B, beginning and end of a chapter, and what is that going to mean, and what does it say? So question the overall theme, or the overall philosophy of the chapter, to me would be like, so say somebody gets robbed and they end up dying. So the philosophy says it's bad to get robbed because you will die. Or, okay, so you steal something and the rest of the people suffer because of that. So that's just saying it's bad to steal. It's kind of like, how do you relay the morality of your story to people? And what are the events surrounding that? Okay, so the next one is, does your dialogue work? Does it work for you or against you? Are you one of those people that says, hey there, how are you? My name's David. Okay, so what's your name? What do you do? Hi, I'm 25. I write books. And that's boring dialogue. No one wants to read that crap. You have to be entertaining. You have to add subtlety, indirect messages, and symbolic language. You can't just throw out generic terms and written statements that people are used to reading. That's not going to keep them entertained. That's not going to connect with your readers. So you need to think about dialogue, and I do too, because it's a big problem for me. And I'm going to come up with an article, and hopefully, when I learn how to do it right, I can help you guys learn as well. The next one is characters in the chapter. So this is simple. Write down the characters in your chapter, the ones you think are important, just in a list form, I guess. Next one is, what are their dominant traits? So list out the characters again. List what traits you think are their most dominant traits, or what should be. Gives you a chance to analyze that. Could be very surface level. You could go into a lot of detail. Just kind of whatever. So the next one is chapter's plot structure. Chapter plot structure. So that is, for me, a timeline. So breaking up the chapter into even more parts and saying this goes to this part, this goes to this part, and you say in what order it goes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that kind of helps you determine if there's a better flow to the chapter than the one you have it in. It makes that a lot easier to see, and it stands out really quick. The next one is imagery. Also, for me, that would be like symbolism or props, whatever. So for me, I have torn clothing is imagery, mountains is imagery, food, beer, guns, other stuff, dolls. I don't know. You can go on and on. I mean, like whatever you can think of, throw it in there. And whatever's in that chapter, just list it out, and you'll be amazed to see what keeps coming up. Like what comes out of your brain a lot, and it's kind of like, oh, why did I keep putting that over and over in that in different chapters? Or like, that's kind of interesting that I would do that. So that's just fun. That's kind of a fun one, and that's something your readers will pick up on, and that's the kind of stuff that makes it like an Easter egg, if you will, for people to read about, and they start noticing little motifs, I guess. So the imagery can also be a motif. Places. So this gives you a chance to write all of your places down, your physical locations within the book. So for me, if I'm at the park, I would write park. But I would probably not go into enough detail to be at the park on a bench with my left foot pointing east and my toe in my mouth or something, because that would just be too much information. So you can do that if you want. If that's the kind of writer you are, do it. I find that to be a little boring and a little bit too slow. Places descriptions. So this gives you a chance to list the same descriptions out. This is the last one. Changes, notes, inspired by music, etc. So things that made you want to create this chapter. So it makes you rehash parts of phase one, as it were, like creating your work of art and how did you get inspired to do it and did it live up to that? Why or why not? Just list your changes there. So that's the end of the document. You can see how this forces a creative mind to dig into their work a little deeper. Even if you feel like you are only scratching the surface, this is only phase two, and there are several more to come. So that's basically all I have. Let's go to some questions. So you guys can start entering some in on chat, and I will get to those as well. But I have some sent to me in email that I'll go ahead and go over for everybody to listen to. So this is first question. Let's see how many I got here. Let me make sure this chat's working real quick. All right, looks like you guys are good. Good to go if you need to write something there. All right, first question. How did you market The Hero of Time to be so successful as an online film, and how will you use what you learned from that experience to go forward marketing your book, The Story of Michael? I was very surprised and very fortunate to have such a positive response to The Hero of Time. So what I learned was that you need your own website, you need your blog, you need your emails, ways to communicate with people that want to hear about your work. So, I mean, there's no way to get your work out if no one knows about it. So the key is to be proud of what you say and not be afraid to get yourself out there and take the hits as they come and do whatever you need to do to change or make it better. For marketing, I use social media as the main medium. I haven't moved into other more traditional stuff yet. So that kind of goes into the next question. How will you publish the story, Michael? Do you plan on monetizing your investment? I definitely plan on monetizing my investment. I don't know how much money I will make. I don't think it'll be like millions at all, but you know, the goal is to get published, and if I didn't have that goal, I would be a pretty terrible author. But being published, all that really means is that you get your own ISBN number, and you can license your book to anybody. So for me, maybe by getting my own ISBN number, I will be able to get an agent, and they will help me get a publisher to publish the book afterwards. So either, you know, whatever works, and I have several other ideas, but I would be more inclined to answer that question again at a later time to see what was the most effective way, instead of just kind of telling you about my just my thoughts that haven't really gone anywhere yet. All right, next question. Are you going to allow people to proofread your story prior to its release? Absolutely, but I don't know how I'm going to do that yet or who's going to read it, and I have to develop a way to do that first. Probably a way that would make any future publishers feel comfortable with knowing that no one has a copy of my book already. Or agents for that matter. So it would just be a way to get editor advice or feedback. And so I haven't decided how I'm going to do that yet. Maybe chapter at a time to different people. Maybe the whole thing with a big watermark down the middle. I'm not sure. Next question is, how many phases are there in your writing process? How long do you expect it will take until you are finished? The story, Michael, is expected to be delivered and released in 2011. I plan to stick to that, unless I come to a great arrangement with some publisher and we decide to delay the release because they're going to pay me lots of money, then I will be delivering in 2011. The phases, we're 5 phases right now. We've done 2, and there could be more phases if I decide to, but right now there's only 5. So 2, 3, 4, 5. The end of June would probably be the next one, and then so closer to fall. Look for it around Thanksgiving or Christmas, I would say. All right. Do you listen to music as a means of inspiration? If so, what kind? I do listen to music, and that's actually how I got mostly inspired to write a lot of the stuff so far. And I don't know if I should go into exact detail because maybe it'd be more interesting for at a later time to go into all that in like a, I don't know, writer documentary or something. I don't know. But I think music is very influential to how I think and how I create stuff. And basically, what I listen to are movie soundtracks, movie scores, and classical music, and atmospheric music with hints of jazz, or hardcore, or metal, whatever floats my boat at the time. So, but yeah, those are definitely helpful, and I wear these huge, you know, huge headphones that I can't hear anything else, and no one can distract me. All right, so that is it. Looks like I've answered all the questions I can for tonight. Thank you guys for joining me. Um, I love doing this, and getting you guys involved in my creative process has been a lot of fun. So I'm super excited that this has gone as well as it has so far, and I'm looking forward to doing more. So hopefully, as marketing picks up, we'll have more interactive discussions, and I can figure out a way to get the production value up of this whole thing, and make this really cool experience. Um, and we will see what happens. Phase 3 will be a much better phase and much more exciting, and everything will just be going up from here as I expect it to. So I also want to thank everyone for joining me from the writing community, and feel free to peruse my Story of Michael blog and leave feedback on the phases and also other articles that I've written. And come back and see us. Leave your email and subscribe. Go to facebook.com/the story of Michael, or go to twitter.com/story of Michael, and make sure to connect with me and let me know what you're thinking. And if you have any questions as a writer, let me know and I'll try to help you out. Um, I also want to thank Hannah Pryor for featuring me on the Facebook Writers Group and making a cool Story of Michael video. Thanks a lot, Hannah. You made my day by creating something for me out of pure niceness and putting me as a featured video on the Writers Group. So that's it, guys. Come back and see me on the Facebook or the blog, or send me an email, info@storyofmichael.com. Um, that is all. So talk to y'all later. Bye. Oh, this will be on YouTube as well. YouTube.com/thestoryofmichael. It'll break it into parts automatically, and then it'll show up there. So thanks a lot. Talk to y'all later.